I get approached by aspiring entrepreneurs all the time. They're like, I want to do a startup, I want to start a business, but I've got a full-time job and I can't quit yet. What do I do? I've been there before I started my company, ToutApp, and then went on to raise venture capital and then sell the company to a market leader. I was in a job and I couldn't quite quit yet. And I spent nearly a year and a half preparing for quitting my job and moving on to the next thing and finally starting my business. And I'm gonna walk you through those 3 steps today on this episode. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Unstoppable Sunday. I'm TK, author of the book, How to Punch the Sunday Jitters in the Face, Entrepreneur and Angel Investor. If you are new to this channel, welcome. I do a video every Sunday, so be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon, because I'll bring you a video every Sunday on how to become unstoppable in your life and your business. If you've got a full-time job, but you've got dreams of becoming an entrepreneur and of finally starting that business, but you can't quit yet, you can't quit your job cold turkey, I've got the 3 steps you need to follow. By the end of this video, you'll have the 3 steps that I followed to make sure you can start preparing to start your business and actually get things in line so that by the time you quit, you have a standing chance of having a successful business. So I'm gonna jump right into it and not waste any more time. Step number 1, you need to actually figure out and get clarity on why you wanna start a business. So often, people just say they wanna be an entrepreneur, they wanna do the hustle, and they wanna be the startup CEO. Entrepreneurship is all the rage today, and that's changed over time. It wasn't the most desirable thing because so much risk was involved. But the one thing that hasn't changed with entrepreneurship is it requires a hell of a lot of work. And so I always say, step number 1, before you quit your job, before you start a business, figure out who you want to be 5 years from now. Why do you want to start a company? Who do you want to serve? Why do you want to go into entrepreneurship versus going into working as a smaller company and maybe being an early employee? These are the things that you've got to ask yourself and figure out and get conviction around. Because once you have that, figuring out the steps to actually quitting your job and starting a company will become that much easier, because you'll have clarity in your thinking on why this is a must for you, why you have to become an entrepreneur, why this is your life's path. So that's step number 1. Get very clear on why you want to pursue entrepreneurship. Where do you want to be 5 years from now? And what does that look like for you? If you're wondering, well, how do I even start to do that? Well, good thing I wrote a book on it. Be sure to check out my book, How to Punch the Sunday Jitters in the Face. It's on Amazon, link below. I ask you a specific set of questions that helps you create a 5-year plan for yourself that gives you clarity into why you want to go into entrepreneurship or something else. Step number 2, commit to starting that business by allocating the hours. Let me explain. There are 24 hours in a day. Each box over here represents an hour in a day, so that's 24 hours. I put an S into the boxes where you're sleeping, so you have 8 hours of sleeping. I put in another 8 hours for working, for your full-time job. Average full-time job, 8 hours, boom, done. I put in another 2 hours for family time. That's like whether it's spending time with family, eating dinner, chores, whatever it is. And after all of that, you're still left with another 6 that is commonly misaccounted for. Do you know where those 6 hours goes? For most people, those 6 hours are going to Netflix. For others, it's going to happy hour and hanging out and going on dates and hanging out with friends. Now look, if you want to actually quit your job instead of just talking about becoming an entrepreneur, if you actually want to go down the path of creating a business and creating a structure and an entity that creates unlimited wealth for you, well, you're gonna have to commit right now and carve out the time. If you can't get disciplined about carving out the time now, you will not get disciplined when you actually are an entrepreneur and you're looking to make your business succeed. When I was in my full-time job and I started to work on the idea of my startup, the business that I wanted to go after, figuring out why I actually want to start a company, and learning as much as possible about how to start companies, I followed a very, very specific schedule. And that specific schedule meant I woke up every single day at 6 a.m. And from 6 a.m. to 8:30 a.m., I worked on my business. At 8:30 a.m., I drove to work, and from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., I stayed at work and did my full-time job. I came back from my full-time job, and then from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m., I worked on my business again. And then I went to sleep, And I woke up the next morning and I did that again. You can go back and check the calendar. You can go ask my ex-wife about it. You can do whatever you want to vet this, but that is literally the schedule I followed to make sure that I could start my business. Now, I'm not saying you do that. There are things that worked out incredibly well for me by doing that, and there are things that didn't work out as well. If you can't figure out how to get 2 hours out of the day, 2 hours on a weekday, not even a weekend, to commit to actually building your business, I hate to break it to you, you're probably not cut out for entrepreneurship. I'm not gonna lie about it. So step number 2 is carve out the time. Now let me pause over here. I kind of beat you up, I pumped you up, entrepreneurship, go, and then I said, look, you may not be cut out for it because you're not willing to commit. So let me just pause over here. Entrepreneurship is the most rewarding thing I've ever done in my life. It has transformed my life, my relationships, my friendships, everything. It has been incredible. The amount of things that I've learned, it's just friggin' awesome. And I highly recommend it. And I just don't like to lie to you about it. I don't like to lie about what it takes and the costs that are there. So I like to be upfront. Look, it's a lot of hard work, but there's a lot of upside. So if at this very moment, before I go to step 3, if at this very moment you're kind of still like, hell yeah, I want to go start that business, I want to do that startup, I'm willing to commit, and maybe I'll do a better job at it than TK did in managing his time and his relationships and everything. And if you're there, if you still want to be an entrepreneur, even after I just kind of beat you up a little bit, can I just get a yes in the comments? Just put a yes, I still want to go after entrepreneurship, and I'm going to figure out how to get there. Or maybe you're in the path of entrepreneurship already, let me just hear a yes. Because I'm a big believer in entrepreneurship, but I also like to be upfront about how much work it takes. So I covered step 1, get clarity on why you want to be an entrepreneur and figure all that stuff out in your life. Step number 2, carve out time in your day. Do an audit of the 24 hours you're given every day and figure out where that time is going. Which brings me to step number 3, which is actually start to build your business. Now, look, there are certain limitations when you have a full-time job. You may have conflicts of interest, you may have stipulations in your employee agreement, like I'm not giving you advice on any of that, talk to a lawyer, make sure this is all safe. But if you work on your personal computer and it's not a conflict of interest in your core job, then you can start working on at least building your business, if not learning about which business to build. Once I committed the time, that's what I spent my time on. I spent my time on reading tons of books about how to build startups, about marketing, about sales. I have an entire library right over there and over there of all the books that I read when I was building out ToutApp, even before I even started it. There is so much knowledge out there. So even if you don't know what your business is going to be, start boning up on the knowledge, spend those hours to actually bone up on the knowledge on how to make a great company, how does sales work, how does marketing work, how does recruiting work. There's a whole set of things to learn. And if you get good at those things, those will all come into play when you finally quit your job and start building that business. Now, probably the most important thing to do as you start to hone in on what your idea is and who you want to serve, even before you quit your job. Don't quit your job until you do this one more thing, and that's building an audience. Now, this is a whole separate topic that I covered in a different video. I'm going to link to it below, or you can follow it here. As part of step 3, once you start boning up on all that knowledge, start to build an audience of who you want to serve. At the end of the day, we create products and services to serve a certain group of people. And we start businesses to do that in a formal way. So before you quit your job, start building that audience to actually go after that market and understand what your business is going to be about. There are 3 specific steps to follow for that. I'm not going to cover that in that video because I've done it before. So follow the link below on the 3 steps to follow to actually start your business once you have gotten clarity, carved out the time, and started to do research on how to build that business. So just to recap, step number 1, get clarity on why you want to do entrepreneurship. Step number 2, carve out and commit hours in your day to actually work on building that business. And step number 3, bone up on your knowledge on what kind of business you want to build, how to build businesses, and get clarity into the type of business you want to build. More on step number 3, there's a whole lot more knowledge, follow the link below in the video. If you found this video helpful, and if you are continuing on the path of entrepreneurship and to become the best version of yourself, and you want to accelerate your life, please like this video. I do a video like this every Sunday. And so along with liking the video, please share it with a friend who's also considering entrepreneurship. And please also hit the subscribe button. So every week when I publish a video, you get notified and you can learn how to become unstoppable in your life and in your business. And remember, most importantly, Everyone needs a strategy in their life. Yours is gonna be unstoppable. I'll see you next Sunday.